Well, these days are not exciting to talk about at all. Certainly I'm not excited to talk about it, but a couple of days at work, 12-hour shifts. So I've had less than 6 hours sleep, basically 3 days in a row now. But anyway, I still came in. You guys know what I'm about. Still come in, still pay your dues. Today's session was whatever. Came in, felt stiff as all hell. I knew it wasn't going to be a good session when I feel like this. This is kind of like the antithesis of of feeling poppy. Anyway, I jumped in. I tried to kind of open up my hips with split squats. Watched some videos over the last few days of guys kind of split squatting. Mike Moyle comes to my mind. He uses the term, your body should be like an elevator, not like a seesaw or saw, whatever he said. So you shouldn't kind of be swaying back and forth. You should be just kind of up and down. So try to work on that. It kind of still doesn't make sense to me. Like if you're in the lunge position on the floor and you got the 90-90-90 angles, knee, hip, and knee, that basically means that most of your body weight is on the back leg or the back knee. So to kind of go straight up means that you load the back leg more. But anyway, I kind of need to work on that. I always thought that these things were about the front leg. But anyway, maybe this Bulgarian split squat's a little bit different again. But anyway, I just try to kind of work on it. It was predominantly a mobility kind of exercise here. I wasn't loading it much. I didn't really want to work hard this morning. Not feeling it, not recovered. So I did these split squats, and then after this I went to back squats. Back squats kind of felt good after these split squats. I felt like my hip will kind of opened up a little bit more, but still absolutely no pop in me at all. So I think I worked up to 150. So anytime I kind of come in and I know, oh God, today's going to be one of those days. Not only do you not feel poppy, but then like your emotional side, your psych side goes, oh shit, it's going to go through the motions here. I know that the top number today is not going to be impressive. So it's like a double whammy. You don't feel good, and then you think about not feeling good, and you're like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to perform well. So then it's like you're not even excited about not being excited. So anyway, I worked up to 150. Kind of felt all right. It's just, there's no spark, there's no pop. So yeah, just hit 150. There was no reps. Hit a single 150, and then I moved on to deadlifts. The reason why I did deadlifts was because I've been thinking about last few days, my starting position. I think it's been like 5 days since I last did a deadlift session. Last session was on my days off, so I kind of wanted to come in and work on the starting position. The whole thing in the last sort of 2 weeks has been leg drive. I kind of identified that I'm weak in the parallel position, the squat, as I'm coming up out of the hole. And I worked out that I'm quite weak off the floor. And when you compare those two positions in those two lifts, there's like a similar knee angle that we're dealing with here. So I've kind of identified that as being a weak quad or a weak push. I think I'm pretty good at pulling. So I wanted to kind of emphasize that. I kind of started with leg extensions, moved on to Bulgarian split squats, or just split squats in general. And I've kind of been loading that exercise with 60 kilos. I worked up to 100 kilos as my top set like a week ago or something. And the DOMs out of those exercises was always in the kind of glute medius, glute max, which was interesting because I was expecting for my quads kind of to be sore. So anyway, that's kind of work in progress. And then last 2 days ago, I did bodyweight squats for like 300 reps, and that lit me up big time in the quads. So just thinking lots about quads. And so in today's session, I basically wanted to come in after reading about all of a bunch of stuff about starting positions in deadlift and how to utilize the quads more. Using the quads is an interesting thing to me, because anytime I picture myself using quads, I'm thinking dorsiflexion. But in the deadlift, it's a little bit different. What I've kind of read about is that it's actually more optimal for you to have vertical shin angle in the deadlift as you pull. So what that looks like is you grab the bar, you go down and grab the bar, and you shift all of your body weight backwards in such a way that your shoulders are directly above the bar. So if you were to let go of that position, and if you let go of the bar, you would just fall back on your ass. So you're kind of like pre-tensiling that position. You're kind of like a coil, and then when you start pulling, you're using your body weight against. It's like a seesaw kind of effect. So that's kind of what I was going for, and so in that position, your shins are vertical. So that's interesting. It's kind of completely different to the squat, but yeah, because I lean backwards, I'm able to kind of squat a little bit more, kind of drop my hips a little bit more. You'll see all of this coming up in a second. And so because I'm kind of starting with a lower hip position, I'm able to use my quads more. So anyway, this is kind of me just thinking out loud. I watched a few videos of guys explaining this technique. And when you watch kind of Eddie Hall and watch some of these big deadlifters, you'll see them do that. You see them grab the bar, you kind of see them set up, and then you see them kind of lean backwards. And without holding onto the bar, they'll fall backwards. So it's kind of using their own body weight as a seesaw against the bar. And so when you and then that kind of takes the slack out of the bar. And then when you start fully kind of engaging and pushing, this is the funny thing, you're kind of not pushing upwards, you're pushing kind of backwards, kind of 3/4 backwards behind you. The bar comes off the ground easier. So it's a twofold thing. You're using your body weight kind of as a seesaw, and you're also able to drop your hips more and use your quads more. So that's an interesting kind of idea that I kind of wanted to play around with today. I tried it and it kind of feels all right. I mean, I feel shit this morning, right? Like I'm sluggish, I'm not poppy, I'm just tired and whatever. So I was able to get to 200 times one, and that kind of felt slow and shitty and whatever. So it's kind of hard to kind of judge whether it's the new technique or if it's me just feeling crap. But you know, seeing 60 go up like this and seeing 100 go up, it feels like I'm kind of more. It's kind of it's like a better start position. I can like pop out of the ground a bit more. It seems to my eye, and it certainly felt this way. When I got to 200 freaking kilos, it felt like 240. Felt really heavy. So something to work on, something to think about. I don't know whether you guys have ever thought about deadlifting with vertical shins. I once heard a guy talk about this. I don't know who it was, but they said, I don't care who you are. When you start pulling off, when you first break the bar off the ground, when you first kind of break it off, your vertical your shins have to be vertical. There's just no other way of doing it. So if you start your deadlift in that position, or you set yourself up in a vertical shin position with you leaning yourself backwards, maybe you can just not worry about any other position. Just start where you're going to end up anyway and just pull. Which is interesting because it feels like a pull in this position because my shins are vertical, but I feel like I can push off the ground quicker. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm popping off the ground a little bit better. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to have to wait for a better day where I'm kind of rested and I've had food in the belly and sleep, all those other things to really kind of judge this. But I'm going to try and kind of use this technique over the next few deadlift sessions and see if I can kind of dial it in a little bit better, if I can get a bit more comfortable with it. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm working on my back. You know, yesterday I worked my back. My back feels pumped. I feel like a bodybuilder walking around. Every time, I don't know about you guys, but every single time I do, you know, my lats and traps and these type of things, you know, with pull-ups and rows, I don't know why, but I just feel like a bodybuilder. It doesn't feel like me. But it's a pretty cool feeling walking around in ED with pumped lats. I feel like, I don't know, I almost feel like a douche walking around because you know, my elbows are coming out the side, it seems, or whatever. But it's a cool feeling. It's a cool feeling when you have pumped lats. But yeah, they kind of feel a little bit more engaged. There's a mind-muscle connection there. I can really kind of clench down. I feel like it's like kind of the same thing with the quads. When you have a pump, when you have a muscle that's kind of been worked recently, it's just easier to kind of engage it. You're like, oh, okay, there's muscle back there. Let's clench that. Even then, I feel like there was a bit of a forward. Anyway, maybe I'll have to watch this clip again. I feel like there was a bit of a forward kind of bar travel there. So I need to kind of work on that It's just counterproductive for the bar to kind of travel forward like that. But anyway, lots of thinking about deadlifts. I'm just talking out loud right here. But after this, I went to bench press, worked up to 120 times one, and then I backed off with 60 kilos for 30 reps. Still kind of doing that every other day. So I feel like I don't feel like myself. I feel like I'm doing a whole bunch of things. I'm working on the deadlift, I'm working on the bench press, I'm working on my back, and I'm working on the squats. And the squat seems to kind of have taken a bit of a step back in terms of squatting the bar. I'm doing a whole lot of Bulgarian split squats. I'm doing a whole lot of bodyweight squats. But sometimes you kind of have to take a step back and address some of these weaknesses to go forward. So this is 200 times one. Just gonna have another look at it. Just looking at that bar to see whether it travels forward or not. It's okay, I guess. It's okay. Something to work on. So yeah, what am I doing? Am I a squat everyday guy? Am I a bench press everyday guy? Am I a deadlift everyday guy? The bench press thing was kind of going back into the program because it's so easy. You know, the bench press portion of my workouts literally takes 5 minutes, honestly. So instead of me doing like 5 sets of 12 and all that other stuff and, you know, working really hard on it, I've just gone, okay, let's just do a little bit every single freaking day. So that's kind of a non-event. It's not really taking a lot of my recovery points at all. And then, so I did 120 there, and this is 60 kilos there. But voila, like 2 freaking sets that really matter. All the other stuff was like barbell for 10, 60 for 5, 80 for 1, and then these 2 sets. So that's not an event. The deadlift portion is taking a lot of my recovery points. And that's because I feel like there's the deadlift and the squat weaknesses are akin. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of using the deadlift to address the squat, and I'm using the squat to address the deadlift. The realization came from the fact that my deadlift went up because I was squatting. I wasn't doing reps with the deadlift at all. My deadlift went up to 240 kilos from 220 because I was squatting. So can I use the deadlift weakness, which is off the floor, to address the squat weakness, which is in the parallel position? You know, so there's 2 positions there in 2 different lifts, which are the same. So I've kind of been thinking about that and trying to address it. And I'm kind of using the deadlift as an assessment to see, am I getting better in this position or not? So anyway, that's kind of where I'm thinking. Squat is still my number 1 lift. I always think about it. Bulgarian split squats, bodyweight squats, and then barbell squats. That's my bread and butter. All right, guys. I'm going to stop this thinking, stop this rant. I'll catch you guys tomorrow for another session. Peace out.